This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Today's announcement has nothing to do with the president, has nothing to do with the president's campaign or campaign activity. The real collusion scandal, as we've said several times before, has everything to do with the Clinton campaign.
The first indictments from the special counsel in the Russia interference case, and the first Trump campaign aide pleads guilty. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the week in Washington in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And they make an app for that, and this one could save someone's life. Manatee County emergency personnel are launching a new smartphone app called Pulse Point, which notifies users who are CPR certified if they are within a quarter of a mile of a life-threatening emergency. 1,000 people die from sudden cardiac arrest every day in the U.S. Public safety officials hope the new app will help reduce that number.
Early compressions and early access to advanced life support really help change the outcomes of these patients' lives.
Manatee County is also celebrating a successful year for its community paramedic program. The Florida Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly accident in Sarasota County. Troopers say a 65-year-old man from Sarasota was walking across all 4 lanes of Proctor Road near Woodpine Drive around 10 this morning. Troopers say the man walked right into the front of an oncoming car and was hit.
Sometimes we get into a hurry, we forget about our situational awareness, and we just try to run across the road. This is something that we teach children every day, but adults, we have to follow the same rules.
Troopers are still trying to get in touch with the victim's family and have not released his name. The Manatee Sheriff's Office is asking for help in identifying an armed robbery suspect. The incident took place at a Dollar General in Bradenton Wednesday evening. The suspect approached the front counter and showed what the clerk believed to be a handgun before demanding money. The clerk refused and the suspect fled. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam is asking state lawmakers for $75 million next year to fund a program helping to shield agricultural land from development. The Rural and Family Lands Protection Program received just $10 million this year. The program involves the state purchasing conservation easements, allowing landowners to continue farming or ranching, but prevents development on rural properties.
They have one crop a year, and so with all the wind and the rain, they lost a lot of crop, which is devastating.
Scott also said he will propose spending $21 million to help struggling citrus growers reeling after Hurricane Irma. A House panel next week will take up a bill allowing public school students to transfer or receive private school scholarships if they are subjected to bullying, harassment, or violence. The bill is a priority of House Speaker Richard Corcoran and could refuel the debate about school choice programs. Under the legislation, students and parents would first report bullying and other incidents to their school. After a 15-day window, they could move to another public school or receive scholarships to private schools. The number of students who report incidents are in the thousands.
Last year, more than 47,000 students reported incidents such as battery, hazing, physical attacks, sexual assault, harassment, and bullying. And we know that a number of these incidents never even get reported.
The bill, which would take effect next year, is similar to the state's tax credit scholarship program, which helps pay for thousands of low-income students to attend private schools. Tonight wraps up the regular season for Suncoast High School football. 2 area rivals will also meet in Bradenton for the second week of the playoffs in a win-or-go-home private school matchup. ABC7's Adam Cellini joins us live from St. Stephen's High School with a preview of our Football Friday night game of the week. Adam.
Yeah, Alan, the St. Stephen's Episcopal School Falcons are in the middle of their first ever state title defense under the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. They have won 19 games dating back to last season, and 2 of those wins were against their opponent tonight, Out of Door Academy, out of Lakewood Ranch here in town. Now, the Falcons are loaded for another state title run. They bring back top offensive talent like quarterback Fred Billy and twin brothers Chase and Sidney Brown. The Falcons beat Out of Door Academy Thunder earlier this year, 61 31-7, but that loss kind of jolted the Thunder, who won their next 4 straight games and have been outscoring opponents by over 100 points during that streak. We talked to the Out-of-Door Academy head coach just moments ago, who says he is really looking forward to this second shot at the Falcons.
Yeah, well, we feel like we're a different team than we were 4 weeks ago. We've won 4 straight games. We've put up more than 30 points in those games. Our defense is coming along, better understanding of our systems. We've thrown in a few wrinkles. Obviously, we're going to need to catch some breaks out here to compete with such a great program, but we'll do our best, and we want to make it a competitive game.
Now, as for the rest of our area teams that play under the Florida High School Athletic Association, this is the last week of the regular season, and a big one. We have 7 area teams that are currently in the playoffs as it stands now, but 4 of those teams are right on the fringe and could really use another final win tonight for that last push into the playoffs. We bring you all the highlights and more playoff talk coming up later tonight. For now, in Bradenton, I'm Adam Cellini. Back to you.
Thanks, Adam. And, we began the high school football season with so much rain, but Bob, tonight, the weather could not be any more ideal.
Yeah, I was out at Lakewood Ranch, Music on Main. It was beautiful out there. We saw gorgeous weather up and down the coast, and that's a result of a large area of high pressure. Perfect weather for area high school football action tonight. 78 degrees, our current temperature. Dew point is comfortable, 63. The humidity, 60%. You couldn't ask for better weather for this evening. Northeast winds at 6 miles an hour. The pressure still high at 30.04. The evening planner, well, this pretty much tells the story. Nothing going on and nothing to show you on the graphics there. Things are all quiet here. As far as lows go, we'll start off the morning on Saturday in the low to mid-60s, 64 in Inglewood, 63 Mayaca City. Osprey will drop down to around 64 under fair skies and 65 in Sarasota. The start today on Saturday looks to be pretty good. We may see a little bit of patchy fog, but should not be a big factor, though, throughout the day. That fog will quickly burn off, and we are anticipating no real threat of any significant rainfall here. There's a weak system well to the north of us into Arkansas, some showers there entering into Mississippi, a few showers along the east coast. We still have this east wind around this area of high pressure, which is going to stay with us too, it looks like, through the weekend as that high pressure holds firm. And you see a few light sprinkles there dotting the east coast from West Palm Beach northward to just north of Fort Pierce. Well, the winds are out of the northeast right now, and they're very light, anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour. And it looks as though we will see dry conditions for the most part. No real threat of any significant rainfall. There's a slight chance for an inland shower, but you can see from the water vapor imagery over the past several hours, pretty quiet weather taking place all the way through the southeast United States. And with that dry air in place, the rain chances are staying extremely low right through early next week. In fact, there's another cold front expected to move on down, but that happens on Thursday. We'll talk more about that front and what it means for us coming up a little bit later, Alan. But generally speaking, you couldn't ask for better weather.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, a landmark week in the Russia investigation, the first indictments, and a guilty plea from a former Trump campaign aide. Stay with us.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
Consumer Cellular makes it easy to stay in touch with family and stay within our budget. Now our cell phone bill is only a fraction of what it used to be.
Our average customers get everything they need for about $25 a month, and plans start at only $15 a month with no contracts.
Consumer Cellular has a great choice of phones. Check out my new one.
I picked this simple phone. I used my son's old smartphone. Kept my number, too.
Consumer Cellular has been an approved AARP provider since 2008, and members get exclusive discounts.
It's a good thing Consumer Cellular is always there, because sometimes I need a little help.
Sometimes. We're proud to have received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 3 times in a row.
Over the years, we've seen a lot of change.
We actually use change. Luckily, there are some things we can still afford.
Like Consumer Cellular.
Stop paying too much for wireless service. Switch to Consumer Cellular. And with our 30-day risk-free guarantee, it's easy. Call 1-800-920-3084. Go online or visit a Target store today.
When severe weather strikes, trust ABC7 First Alert Weather. We're here for you.
Welcome back. The first indictments from the special counsel made public on Monday. Paul Manafort, the president's former campaign chairman, Rick Gates, his deputy, and George Papadopoulos, a former campaign advisor to then-candidate Trump, all charged. Papadopoulos pleading guilty to lying to the FBI. ABC's Serena Marshall has more.
A new question in the Russia investigation. Did the president and attorney general lie about a member of the campaign having contact with Russians? It all goes back to this meeting in March of 2016. There, seated between then-candidate Trump and Senator Jeff Sessions, foreign policy advisor George Papadopoulos. Monday's unsealed documents revealed Papadopoulos worked with suspected Russian contacts, then lied to the FBI about those meetings, and showed when he introduced himself at that meeting, told them, quote, he had connections that could help arrange a meeting between then-candidate Trump and President Putin. A Trump advisor in the room tells ABC News as Mr. Trump listened on, Jeff Sessions shot down the idea and said not to mention it again. But President Trump has denied anyone on his campaign had contacts with Russia. And when it came to that meeting,
I don't remember much about that meeting. It was a very unimportant meeting.
The Attorney General now faces new questions after this testimony at his confirmation hearing.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities.
More recently, he was asked again about contact with the Russian government.
I have no knowledge of any such conversations by anyone connected to the Trump campaign.
But those court documents do not say Papadopoulos' contacts were active government officials.
Democrats want the Attorney General to clarify his comments on Russia, but the Justice Department insists he never gave false testimony. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
So what do you make of it? In a moment, one of the most influential Republicans in Sarasota, the top Democrat in Manatee County, and one of the most incisive political editors on the Suncoast, all of them waiting patiently at the trapezoid.
Take the trolley to Siesta Beach for the Crystal Classic Sand Sculpting Festival, November 10th through 13th. See master sand sculptors create works of art. It's family fun with hands-on kids activities, sand sculpting lessons, music, food, a party tent, and more. Visit SiestaKeyCrystalClassic.com.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Do you have type 2 diabetes, which requires daily blood monitoring? If you have diabetes, are you on Medicare, Obamacare, or other health insurance? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for diabetic testing supplies at little to no out-of-pocket cost to you. Our accredited staff will handle all of your paperwork for free. And best of all, your diabetic testing supplies are shipped directly to your home for free. Call now to see if you qualify for a meter upgrade and a free pedometer to monitor your daily walking. Use alternate testing sites, a smaller blood sample, and even hear your results out loud. Will you qualify for diabetic testing supplies and an upgraded meter covered by Medicare, Obamacare, or health insurance at little to no out-of-pocket cost to you?
Find out for free by calling the Diabetes Resource Center at 1-800-394-1098. That's 1-800-394-1098, 1-800-394-1098.
For 30 years, it's been an honor for the Michaels on Ice team to serve you.
We love that our restaurant, wine cellar, and ballroom have become your favorite gathering places, and we love catering your parties.
From everyday celebrations to life's greatest occasions, please join us soon for new culinary adventures. A toast to 30 years.
And to many more.
It's bigger and better. The Siesta Key Crystal Classic Sand Sculpting Festival, November 10th through 13th. 24 international artists create massive sand sculptures. Enjoy 4 days and 2 nights with live music, food, a party tent, and more. See SiestaKeyCrystalClassic.com for details.
Welcome back. We have been talking about Russia's interference with the election for over a year now. This week, for the first time, criminal charges. That was just on Monday, but like so many times over the last 12 months, what happens on Monday seems like ancient history by Friday, so let's recap. President Trump's former campaign chair and his deputy were indicted on conspiracy and other charges. Another campaign aide pled guilty to lying to the FBI. A former Tampa man mowed down pedestrians in New York City, killing 8 in the name of ISIS. And Republicans released their long-awaited plan for tax reform, and the stakes for them and the president could not be higher. So what are folks thinking on the Suncoast? Joining us for more is Rod Thompson, president of the Sarasota Republican Club, Cheryl Wilson, the chairwoman of the Manatee County Democratic Party, and Jacob Ogles, political editor of SRQ magazine. And Rod, I want to start with you because now we have indictments. We have one guilty plea. And take the temperature, if you can, of Suncoast Republicans who I know in the past have not cared so much about this entire topic. But when you see criminal charges, does that start to change?
Yeah, no, in a sense, yes, but not in the way you might expect. So the Manafort charges, are all of those are, you know, back when you're talking about tax and laundering, money laundering, that sort of thing, all before the Trump campaign.
And you know what the game is there. You start
of course,
with
you
things
want to
like
flip
that.
him.
Yes, exactly.
Sir, I understand that, and that's the real game with Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos, who's this volunteer. There was one meeting. I saw the picture of that meeting, and it's like, oh, the president was in a meeting in a dumpy little room like that. No wonder he doesn't remember it. You know, so
this is the president who boasts about having the best memory of anyone. in
he boasts about a lot
history.
of things. We went around that before too. But here's what I think. If you're talking about taking the temperature of the Republicans on this, and that's how much that came out in Mueller's information, in the information dump with these, that actually starts pointing to a much broader net he has cast, which is absolutely capturing now Democrat Party and Clinton operatives, which we can get into more. But what this suggests is it actually gives Republicans like me a little bit of comfort, since his staff is so heavily stacked with Democrat lawyers investigating it, that maybe he's actually going to do an honest investigation. That's what we really want. Manafort always thought he was dirty. There could be others. Flynn, I don't know what that's going to be. But I've always thought it was way broader and way beyond just Republicans. And if he gets to that, that's a good and honest thing.
Cheryl, what is the impact, you think, on local politics and the midterm elections that are coming up? Do you think that this does help create an atmosphere where Democrats can hope for things that have not happened in a long time?
I think it adds to what Democrats are already feeling. I mean, we're about at the 1-year anniversary time of the dark Wednesday morning. And yes, it's not good news for the country, and we don't exult in good news or bad news for the country, but it does speak to the man we elected. It speaks to his judgment. It speaks to his vetting ability. It speaks to knowing who's in your cabinet. It speaks to whether you have a memory or not. It's just more ammunition that Donald Trump is not the guy we want to see leading the country.
Jacob, big picture, what kind of impact does this have on politics on the Suncoast and basically where voters are at?
Well, on the Suncoast, I don't know. This is still a relatively conservative area. I know we've seen a lot of districts have big swings in special elections. We'll see how the one goes here that's happening for the State House soon. That might be a greater indicator. It's still a little bit hard to measure what the political fallout of this is, particularly because we're so early. I mean, right now, these indictments that we're referencing are all campaign officials. It's not actually members of the administration that work for Donald Trump's cabinet. If it extends and starts bringing people like that down, that's going to add a lot more problem.
You did have some discussion yesterday about Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, turning over documents to the FBI.
And you're hearing discussion about Sessions right now, particularly with that testimony during his confirmation. I suspect that's more, as was referenced earlier, an effort to make him flip. I think that you could see this reach into the administration. If it does, if you start seeing indictments of actual members of the administration, it's going to have much greater consequence. It won't be as easy to dismiss.
All right. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the Week in Washington right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Our conversation on the Week in Washington continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrod. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Another gorgeous day. I've been saying this pretty much all week. We started off cool, ended up pretty warm today, highs in the low 80s. That's seasonal for this time of year. We've had a few clouds around, not a lot. Beautiful football Friday night. And it looks like a gorgeous sunset occurred earlier. Photos already starting to come in, and we will show those in just a little bit. Dew point temperatures. You know, we started off the work week when these were in the 30s, and now they're in the 60s. During the summer months, they're in the 70s. It gives you a little idea as to the comfortability of the atmosphere. And I tell you, we start getting into the mid-60s. It feels a little bit more humid out there. And we saw 30s earlier this week, and that's when it was really quite nice out there, a little bit on the chilly side, really. Currently it's 78 degrees. We have clear skies and the dew point 63. Humidity at 60%. Winds are out of the northeast now. And they're very light. The barometer 30.04 inches with light winds and clear skies. There may be some patchy fog forming to start the morning off tomorrow. The high today, a couple degrees above average. Our normal high at 81. We got the 83 degrees, and 63 was the morning low. The average is not 72. The average for this time of year is 62 degrees, and 89, the record set back in 1995. No rainfall to report. And so far for the month, we're starting off in November rather dry, which is typically a very dry month. Well, the satellite and radar showing not a lot going on across the southern tier of the states. We've had a few showers along a weak frontal boundary and a trough of low pressure, if you will, from Louisiana, Arkansas, northwestern portions of Mississippi, and then stretching off toward the Carolinas. It's kind of rotating around this big area of high pressure, which continues to hang in control right for us, and that will stay with us through Saturday, Sunday, and even into early next week. The next frontal system expected to move in our area will be late Thursday and Friday of next week, but some snow falling and big snow. We're talking record amounts of snow possibly in the northern Rockies and also into Idaho. Some rain snow mix there. Rain mainly over California, although there is some icy conditions taking place over Northern California, Washington, Oregon. We have a zonal flow basically, and with that zonal flow in mind, all the storms are staying to the north, and so is the cold air. No real threat of any significant cold air moving in. This storm system now is starting to exit off into the Atlantic after bringing some rain earlier today and yesterday into Toronto, Ottawa, Buffalo also had some rain yesterday. Well, here's the forecast for boating tomorrow. North winds at 10 knots. We'll have seas running 2 feet or less. Should be ideal boating weather. Light chop on the bays and inland waters. The water temperature has cooled down a little bit from the recent cold snap. It's down to 74 degrees. We'll have a high of 80 degrees at area beaches, and the UV index will be high. So put on the sunscreen if you're heading out to the beaches or anywhere outdoors for that matter. Tides upcoming. The low tide will be at 6:59. In fact, we just had that. We'll have another high tide at 12:06. A low tide at 7:58 tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 7:43 and sunset at 6:45. Mostly fair, not as cool. 64 for your low, and east winds at 5 to 10. The extended forecast is calling for more gorgeous weather. Tomorrow looks good, a high of 84. And then on Sunday, temperatures staying pretty much right there into the mid 80s. We'll see a slight chance for showers come into play Monday through Thursday of next week. And remember, everyone, roll back your clock 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday night or Sunday morning. Otherwise, you'll be early for everything on Sunday and Monday. Alan will be back with his guests right after this.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. They send out devastating letters, garnish paychecks, and even put liens on your home or business. You may have heard of it. It's called enforced compliance. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms and can negotiate a tax settlement with the IRS. It's that simple. And if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars, finally ending your financial stress. Now is the time for a fresh start. Now is the time to call Tax 10,000. 800-699-3188. That's 800-699-3188. Call now.
40 million. That's the number of free phones still available and the number of how many Americans can still get prescriptions free.
Free could be wonderful.
That's why I'm still working at 77 years old to pay off my prescriptions.
I needed to have a prescription filled and I had to leave because I couldn't afford it.
Call now and see what's available for you. Free prescriptions. Over 10 million people get prescriptions free, and the program has expanded so another 40 million can. Free dental. Over 15,000 dentists have provided over $330 million in free dental work. Free cell phones. 40 million free cell phones are still available with free minutes and more.
Free cell phone would change my life right now because it is something I cannot afford to get.
Medical supplies like back braces, knee braces, and diabetic supplies may be covered too. The free RX Plus hotline has saved callers over $12 million on their prescription costs. These free programs are now available to 40 million more people. Call now.
Let me introduce you to the ultimate Florida window. Do you feel safer with this or this? You'll be proud too.
Buy more, save more. Volume discounts on 4 or more windows.
We're talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more is Rod Thompson, the president of the Sarasota Republican Club, Cheryl Wilson, the chairwoman of the Manatee County Democratic Party, and Jacob Ogles, political editor of SRQ magazine. We're going to stay on Russia for just one moment because we know, Jacob, that this is a highly Republican area and the president has a lot of supporters here. But nationwide, according to a new Washington Post ABC News poll, a big majority of Americans approve of the Mueller investigation. They believe that they trust him and they are generally inclined to trust Mueller and the case he has made so far, an investigation that the president believes to this day is a hoax.
Well, I've got to tell you, and something we were talking about at the break, this Mueller investigation is very zeroed in on Trump, so it's going to make a lot of news. And Trump is very defensive about it. But I actually think there's a whole lot more attention than there should be on just the Trump aspect of Russia collusion. I don't think there's nearly enough talk about what the Kremlin was trying to achieve here, either by reaching out or issuing all these Facebook ads. And there ought to be a lot more analysis of that, absent of whether it helped Trump or not.
You know, Rod, there was a story this week that the Justice Department, not part of the Mueller investigation, is considering indicting 6 Russians for interference. That's not part of the Trump probe per se. So it is something that the Justice Department is taking seriously.
Right, and they should be. I think Jacob's right. I think that there's a whole lot more to it. Obviously, there's an importance in focusing on what is involving the President of the United States. However, I think there's been an overemphasis on that because it's this particular president. I think what we really need to see, what would be good service to the country, is if there was a lot of in-depth reporting and analysis on what Russia was doing, what the DOJ is investigating there, what they were trying to accomplish. Because I think what it was trying to undermine our democracy, irrespective of party.
Sure, I want to give
Which
you
is something, I mean, that's something that he has done in Eastern Bloc countries for years. You've seen Putin interfering with European elections.
Did it in the French one, too.
Right, but Cheryl, you know,
Cheryl wants to weigh in.
My conservative friends will sometimes point out to me, but you know what? We did this to other countries as well.
We have heard that from the president as well. We have heard that from the president as well. You know, there are bad guys and good guys on each side of the situation, but this is the president that's in a position to do something with the information that he got. This is a president who benefits from any information that he gets. I agree that what we're hearing locally is people who are concerned about the effect on our democracy, the people who are concerned about the effect that Russia or any country interfering in our democracy might have. And that I think is not lost on the people that are paying attention.
While we're talking about democracy, let's talk about Donna Brazile.
Did I lead into that one?
Yes,
huh?
you did. Thank you. Former interim chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, who is out with a book where she says that the DNC was in the bag for Hillary Clinton in her primary against Bernie Sanders. And she says it was not illegal. Hillary bailed out the DNC in terms of money, but in return got control of the party apparatus while she was in a primary fight. I have a couple of questions. Number one, you know, Bernie supporters felt that they did get a raw deal the entire time. That's number one. Number two, why can't the Democrats get their act together? You know, you have a president who is lagging in the polls, the possibility of a good midterm. Why can't the Democrats get on message?
That's, I'm not here to defend Donna Brazile, and I'm not here to defend the performance of the Democratic Party in that election. I have been saying to our team here locally for over a year, let's get over it, let's move forward. Now I'm ready to say, let's have it out. If we're going to have this battle, let's have it, and then let's get over it. As I said in the earlier segment, we are 1 year from what turned out to be a disastrous election, not only for the Democratic Party, but for the democratic process, for what's happening in our country. And we are 1 year from an election where we can begin to make some amends to that and come into it, and yet we're bickering within the party. Now, again, if what Donna Brazile has discovered in September of this year is accurate, it is embarrassing, it is angering, it is frustrating to those of us who are out there working for the Democratic Party. But I would say to Donna Brazile, if she were sitting right here, you were the chair, madam. If you felt that this was going on and you were questioning, why do you have to go to Brooklyn? Step up and be the chair of the party. I have to do that locally on much smaller issues. You're not going to make everybody happy. So step up and be the chair. If you knew what was going on, you should have stopped it.
Rod?
I think what it suggests, too, is that actually there's much more of a civil war in the Democratic Party than has been realized going along. We know there's been fractions in the Republican Party for quite a while. My personal opinion, as I've mentioned before, is the Republican Party actually has broader views represented within it, so you're going to have a lot more friction going on when you have somebody from Collins to Rand Paul. That's a pretty broad range there within the party.
You have Republican senators calling the president incompetent.
All right, but aside from that, I mean, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, you've got all sorts of things going on there within the Republican Party. What is often lost, and if it wasn't for Donna Brazile here, there would be zero coverage, is that you have major fractures within the Democratic Party. You have the Bernie Sanders wing, which is a rising wing, a powerful wing, and it's a communist wing. It is overtly and openly. It is. I mean, what about Bernie Sanders' background is not communistic? He got married in the Soviet Union. He sings communist songs. He's an overt socialist, so it's only half a step to communism from there. And you have the Antifa portion, which isn't part of the Democratic Party.
No, it isn't.
It is not, but it is on the left.
And you know, the state Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party, met just this past weekend and passed for the first time in general session a series of resolutions on what the party was going to be standing for going into the 2018 election. We saw more unity at that convention than we have seen since this election.
Jacob, there is still this push and pull in terms of the Bernie supporters there who, to Election Day, some of whom said they were Bernie or bust.
Yes.
And they do not trust the whether it's the Florida Democratic Party or the Democratic National Committee. There's still that friction and purging going on. And does that really make the Democrats' job more difficult to gain traction in Florida?
Of course it does, and it's really rather astounding to me how much of a fight people are willing to have, how much of their nose they're willing to carve off despite their face. But I also have to say, this whole issue that was brought up by Brazil, it's significant, but it also strikes me as the Inflategate of democratic politics. Yes, it's embarrassing, it's wrong, and somebody ought to be held to account, but it also probably didn't have that big an effect on who was the ultimate nominee. Hillary Clinton won the Democratic primary with about 3.5 million votes.
Yeah, and Bernie Sanders did have a lot of money to run that primary.
And Bernie had the same financial agreement with the party that the Clinton campaign did.
Right.
He just lacked power.
One other issue, you know, the Republicans rolled out their tax reform proposal yesterday. There is a lot of skepticism about whether or not this can get passed, considering the president's relationship with certain United States senators from his own party. But Rod, you wanted to point out to me, despite all of this yesterday, a new Pew Research Center poll came out that despite persistent low levels of public satisfaction with their government, a lot of Americans still believe that they are either living the American dream or can soon get to the American dream.
Right, and more importantly, not still do, actually do now. 3 years ago, CNN did the same poll on the American dream, and that 60% of them, of the respondents then said that they did not see any way that they could succeed in the American dream. Now, the Pew Research Foundation has done the poll now. They find 82% of Americans say they either have achieved or are on their way to achieving the American dream.
Who do you credit that to?
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, because I see the same polls you do that say we're going in the wrong direction, you know, Washington's a disaster, the government's failing us, etc. And I think people separate the question. One is, how's government doing? How's our nation doing and all? And a lot of people are not great on that, but personally, they think they're doing pretty well.
Because we have less than a minute left, because there's this other poll I wanted to get to. According to Bloomberg, Americans are officially freaking out. A majority of more than 3,400 Americans polled, 59% say that they consider this to be the lowest point in our nation's history.
They don't know the Civil War.
I think it's just like what you alluded to earlier. The indictments came back Monday, and we feel like that's old news now. There's an event or a big announcement coming up all the time. So you go to sleep thinking one thing, and you wake up thinking that something else is going to be the threat. So absolutely, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unpredictability in our government. There's a government that's not getting much done.
We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts when we return.
You studied hard, went to college, and achieved your dream, but it turned into a financial nightmare. If you have federal student loans and you'd like to reduce your payments, get more time, or have your loans completely eliminated, then we have good news. With one call to Student Loan Relief Services, you can find support and guidance. We've already helped thousands of people, and we can help you too. If you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans, you can qualify for payment extensions, payment reductions, or you may qualify to have your federal student loan completely forgiven. Call Student Loan Relief Services now to find out about your options. Take control of your finances and get out from under this burden. One of our student loan experts has the answers to your questions and great solutions to ease your financial burden. We're here for you. Call Student Loan Relief Services now.
Call 800-759-0203, 800-759-0203.
Do
Need a good laugh? Starting November 1st at the Players Center, everything that can go wrong does go wrong in the smash hit comedy Moon Over Buffalo. This wild Broadway series production shows what happens both on stage and off. Contact the Players at 365-2494 or at theplayers.org. The show must go on with Moon Over Buffalo.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Welcome back. There's some major breaking Florida political news that we have got to get to, and that concerns a Republican running for governor, Senate Appropriations Chairman Jack Latvala, who's from Pinellas County, who is being accused by 6 women in Tallahassee of sexual harassment. The Senate President Joe Negron just called the allegations atrocious and horrendous and has ordered an investigation. Jacob, we are seeing allegations of sexual harassment recently from Harvey Weinstein to Kevin Spacey to Mark Halperin. And now we have one of the major candidates for governor. And it seems, you know, I don't know what will happen with his political campaign, but it's not hard to imagine it will be short-lived.
This has to be the worst political environment for this type of allegation to surface. This is the absolute wrong moment for this news in terms of Jack Latvala's political future. I think that it's very unlikely, because he wasn't even the front runner for governor in the first place, that he's going to be able to politically survive this. I think you're going to see his candidacy end fairly soon, if not his time in Tallahassee as a senator.
What is going on in Tallahassee? Because if you recall, also this week, the Senate Democratic leader was forced to resign from the legislature because of a extramarital affair show.
He was, and again, it was embarrassing and it was inexcusable. We also saw then, some people believe as a result of that, a change in the reporting of sexual harassment by the victims in the legislative body, how they would report. It went away from HR and it goes now to the Senate leader, the same one that just made his comment. But this just speaks to the big issue that has finally come to the forefront, that has finally exploded. It's not anything that we should be surprised about. We've all known that it was going on, and I applaud the fact that women are speaking up. It's a shame that it has taken this toll and has had to it takes so long to get it there.
Rod, what is happening not only in Tallahassee, but there have been also stories from women in Congress saying that they have had to deal with these issues as members of Congress.
Right. So I think what's happening is actually a good thing, because clearly this has been going on for a long time, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's Congress, whether it's Tallahassee. This has been going on for a long time. I'm of the opinion of sort of a zero tolerance policy when it comes to these sorts of things between men and women. In the 90s, I was kind of called prudish for that, but actually I think that that's a real good way to do it. And I think that as these revelations come forward, that we should see a much, much higher standard going forward, and that would be good.
All right, and we'll have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on the GOP tax cut plan. The details were released yesterday. Married taxpayers earning between $45,000 to $200,000 will have a tax rate of 25%. Couples earning between $500,000 to $1 million a year will pay almost 40%. Some popular deductions important to middle-income families are out, like the deductions for medical expenses, student loan interest, tax prep expenses, moving expenses, unreimbursed employee expenses, lifetime learning credits, and employer-provided child care credits. Here's what some of you have to say. Kevin says, another bill written in secret with no public hearings and only lobbyists having access to lawmakers. Michael says, so the working class loses deductions and the wealthy lose tax responsibility. I don't think that is how it is supposed to work. And Mike says, simplify the tax code so everyone doesn't have to pay to have their return filed. Simply do it yourself. Success. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And just a reminder, if you want to stay up to date on the latest local breaking news, just see our alerts on your phone instantly. iPhone and iPad users, you will need to download our new news app. Just go to the App Store and search for WWSB or My Suncoast. Android users, no problems. You'll get the new version automatically. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Rod Thompson is the president of the Sarasota Republican Club. Cheryl Wilson is the chairwoman of the Manatee County Democratic Party. And Jacob Ogles is the political editor of SRQ magazine. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus your primetime headlines in a moment.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter mile north of University Parkway.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
I'll be right back.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now, let's get a check on the first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Another beauty right here. Barb Wilson getting this of fair weather cumulus clouds, a lot of blue skies. That's going to be a familiar scene played out throughout the weekend. And this one just recently, Linda Bruns on Venice Beach. A lot of birds out there diving on the bait right now. There's a lot of good fishing going on as the water temperature was warmed up a little bit after a little bit of a chill earlier this week. And hey, great night for a movie on the beach. You see this right here. It looks like a Siesta Key with some beautiful pictures right there with the sun setting off in the distance. Yes, that way's a webcam showing calm conditions out there on the waters as well. Look for seas to be running less than 2 feet throughout the day and mostly fair skies throughout most of the day on Saturday, and it looks as though a beautiful sunset has taken place. A lot of photos coming in already to pics at mysuncoast.com. Temperatures currently low 60s in Tallahassee, Jacksonville 65 in Orlando. It's 68 now in Key West and 66 degrees now into Miami. Those are dew point temperatures, and that's usually what the low temperature will fall to. So we're looking at 71 by 11 tonight. Just a few clouds around. There may be a little bit of patchy fog forming late tonight and into the early morning hours. Other than that, though, skies are clear, 78. And the dew point temperature 63, winds out of the northeast, very light at 3, and the pressure 30.04 inches, and that is holding steady right now. The high today, a couple degrees above average at 83. You may have noticed a little higher humidity around 2. The low was right at the average of 63. The record 41 set back in 1963. Well, no rainfall to report, and for the month now, we're below average. For the year, still well above it. And it looks like for the forecast on Saturday, no rain to add to that. As a result of this high-pressure ridge and dry air in place, we'll have high temperatures in the low 80s under sunshine, and looks like temperatures staying pretty warm, too, on Sunday. There is a weak little trough of low pressure well to the north of us right now, producing some showers from Louisiana into eastern portions of Arkansas, stretching over to Tennessee. That's not much. Some snow and some heavy snow expected across the western states. Some of that snow could be rather intense at times into Idaho, stretching off into Montana and into Wyoming. Out to the east, all is quiet there in New York. Some showers still lingering over Maine after that storm heads east out into the Atlantic. Well, temperature is a big chill. There's a dividing line right here over the northern plain states and then the southern portion of the United States. Pretty warm. Los Angeles at 68 now, 72 into Atlanta, 79 in New Orleans, and temperatures in the 20s in Billings. Minot and Minneapolis right at freezing. The forecast for boating, I told you it's going to be nice, and it is a light chop on the bays and inland waters. North winds at 10 knots. The water temperature now at 74. Tides upcoming on your screen. The next high tide will be at 12:06 and a low at 7:58 tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 7:43. It'll be at 6:43 on Sunday morning, so keep that in mind due to the time change. Mostly fair, not as cool, and 64 for your low tomorrow. Mostly sunny, continued mild to warm, 84 for a high. The extended forecast, delightful, and just a 10% chance for a few showers late in the day through Thursday of next week. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. They send out devastating letters, garnish paychecks, and even put liens on your home or business. You may have heard of it. It's called enforced compliance. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms and can negotiate a tax settlement with the IRS. It's that simple. And if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars, finally ending your financial stress. Now is the time for a fresh start. Now is the time to call Tax 10,000. 800-699-3188. That's 800-699-3188. Call now.
If you or a loved one used a proton pump inhibitor, such as Nexium, Prilosec, or Prevacid, and then developed chronic kidney disease, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. A recent report released by the American Medical Association found that the use of proton pump inhibitors was associated with a significant increase in the risk of developing chronic kidney disease. Side effects associated with these medications include acute kidney injury, chronic kidney disease, dialysis treatment, kidney or renal failure, kidney transplant surgery, and even death. If you or a loved one used Nexium, Prilosec, or Prevacid and then developed chronic kidney disease, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 1-800-977-4346. Again, that's 1-800-977-4346.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump is on his first trip to Asia since taking office, but he is making a stop in Hawaii for a tour of Pearl Harbor. ABC's Kenneth Moten reports from the White House.
It's the longest overseas trip for the Trump presidency. Trade, economic relations with China and North Korea will be at the top of the list as the president makes his way around Asia. President Trump and the First Lady meeting with visitors on the South Lawn. The president announced his 5-country, 12-day tour of Asia now 13 days, an extra day added for the East Asia Summit.
And I think we're going to have great success. We'll be talking about trade. We'll be talking about, obviously, North Korea.
The North Korea threat and the nuclear standoff with the U.S., a big focus of the president's trip. Trump is considering adding North Korea to the list of state sponsors of terrorism.
We'll be enlisting the help of a lot of people and countries. We'll see what happens.
Stops in Japan, South Korea, China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. As for Trump's rhetoric,
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury.
White House aides say the president is not expected to tone it down in the region.
So the president will use whatever language he wants to use. I don't think the president really modulates his language. Have you noticed him do that? I mean, he's been very clear. He's been very clear about it.
Before Asia, Hawaii, Trump making his first stop in the 50th state as commander-in-chief to hear from military leaders. The Pacific Command has recently seen a number of troubling naval incidents, including deadly collisions at sea. President Trump will also take a tour of Pearl Harbor and the USS Arizona Memorial before taking off for Asia tomorrow. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, the White House.
Okay, so get this. Someone has been making monthly donations to Planned Parenthood sent in the name of Vice President Mike Pence, who, of course, is not a big fan. Who's doing that? Actress Mila Kunis tells Conan O'Brien that she describes it as a peaceful protest against Pence's efforts to defund Planned Parenthood. She says a letter is sent to Pence each month telling him about the donation in his name. It seems that Kunis is not the only person doing that. Planned Parenthood of Indiana and Kentucky says it gets thousands of dollars in donations in Pence's honor roughly 2 weeks after the 2016 election. Actor Kevin Spacey allegedly made the set of Netflix's House of Cards into a toxic work environment through a pattern of sexual harassment. That's according to 8 people who work or have worked on the show. The workers described Spacey's behavior as predatory, saying it included non-consensual touching and crude comments and targeted at production staffers who were typically young and male. Netflix is halting production of season 6 of the series. Spacey's publicist and creative artist agency that represented him have quit. A military judge has made a decision in the case of U.S. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. No jail time. He has been demoted and given a dishonorable discharge. Bergdahl was held captive by the Taliban for 5 years after deserting his outpost before being released in a controversial exchange. He pled guilty last month to desertion. Texans are turning out in force and en masse to celebrate the Houston Astros' first ever World Series title. The city is throwing a ticker tape parade. So many people turned out. Both public transit and local roads were swamped. The city even had to extend the parade route to accommodate everyone. Houston defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers Wednesday night 5-1. And that's all the time we have this evening. I'm Alan Coe. Thanks for joining us, and you have a great weekend.